Hello everybody and welcome to See It Through. My name is Patrick and today we are going to be playing a game called Big Pharma. This is my first YouTube video and I will give you a forewarning, this is voiced over. Whenever I had recorded the gameplay, my audio file became corrupted and I had to do this voiceover because I could not get the original audio to work. So pretty much this introduction is going to be me explaining that I've wanted to do YouTube for a while. It's just been something that sort of cultivated me as a way to express different ideas and different art forms through sharing it with other people online. I'm going to be starting off my YouTube channel as a gaming channel, and I just really feel that it would be something to allow me to express a lot of my preference within games. Pretty much simply put, this is not going to be the best videos you see. I'm recording all this stuff on a little laptop that I've had for the past year. It's not very great with a lot of the heavier games, so Big Pharma was probably the best choice I could go with, as I could not only run my recording software for the game and audio, but also be able to play the game without lag and without weird spikes. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to go in here. This game is so complicated that it's crazy. The advanced options have just so much to them. We're going to go ahead and do a beginner one. We're going to do King of Non-Prescriptions. Pretty much the basis of these objectives is to sell 500 non-prescription type medicines within 8 years. That's actually a really simple objective. We're only going to play half of the video today, as this will allow me to get a whole bunch of the audio recording and video editing and audio editing sort of struck down, so that whenever we get into later videos, there won't be so much of the distortion. Everything will line up better. I could probably get a better filter so that everything sounds a lot better as well. I'll get used to speaking through games so that there's no there's no awkward pauses, there's no stumbling over words awkwardly. Here we have our company incorporation certificate. I'm going to stick with Globe Medical. That's a name I came up with a couple years ago for this game, and I've really enjoyed having that because it's just something that really does represent how I would feel about what a medical industry should be able to do. I stick with Leonard as our chief executive officer. He sort of has an Einstein feel to him, intelligence, all that kind of stuff. Here we have our perks. You can pause to go through and read them. I do stop on enough of them. I will put a tag in here so that you can skip forward through these if you don't want to, or you can just listen to me talk. Pretty much I wanted to do a whole bunch of gaming for this channel. It's going to be a little bit difficult to be able to do some of my better games because, like I said, it's a cheaper laptop running recording software for the game, running recording software for audio, and running the game. A lot of things happening all at once. There may be times where I do have access to a better computer and I'll be able to not only play heavier games with all this recording software, but I'll be able to have access to a lot more products that are a little bit heavier and can run a little bit smoother with a lot of things. And basically I just feel that this would be the best way to sort of start it, would be to just give you guys pretty much what I can provide right now, my best effort, with not only recording but also being able to play. Give you a little bit of background on myself. I do have a game on here, Car Mechanics Simulator 2018. The reason I got that was because throughout a lot of my life, I've always loved sort of engineering and fixing up vehicles and the such. I've spent 2 years doing an automotive technology class, and then many years even before that class working with my grandfather, working on cars. I would have played that game, but it's a little bit of a heavier game, and I already turned down the graphics just to play it normally. With the recording softwares going at the same time, it really doesn't look good, and I really wouldn't like that to be my first video. It would be something really grainy and really not very good. Here we are, we're entering the game. I paused the game, that way there's not too much time going by. Remember, we do have to get all this done within a set limit of time, 8 years. Here we have a map. It's a 2x2 map. This is usually our beginner maps. That long block up there does count as a 1x2 area. You see, we start with 2 of our inputs. The reason that I'm a little bit confused on that is because usually we start with more than 2 inputs, like 3 or 4. But, of course, I can't expect a whole bunch of difference within the game, so we're going to go ahead and stick with this map. Right now I'm just looking through, trying to plan out a lot of the different areas, thinking about where I'm going to expand. As you can see down here, everything's set up in our objectives tab. You can see that there's bars for each of the 500 things that we need to sell, as well as bars that tell us times. As you can see, there's 3 different levels to the way you can play the game. You have standard, expert, master. Master, you have to complete it in 4 years, expert in 6, standard in 8. Sort of gives you more of a challenge, having to complete a lot of that quicker. Here I go ahead and enter the ingredients tab. There's a whole bunch of different ingredients that you can do with this game, but of course, being that this one is based off of certain ingredients playing at the same time, this one has a whole bunch of ingredients that have been set for this game specifically. Right now I'm just comparing what the ingredients I have right now with my objectives to make sure that I have everything I need. I'm also contemplating the fact that I have a side effect that overlaps my cure that I'm trying to have. Now this could be bad if that wasn't removable, but later you'll see how we can actually remove that. But as I said, we have multiple cures that we have to get done, and side effects, we want to try and keep those to a minimum if possible. Here I'm looking through the other ingredients that we have. As you could see on that last one, it had booster and a catalyst. We won't really be needing those, as boosters and catalysts are effective for upgrading your medicine. We are doing the bare minimum with the non-prescriptions. We're going back and overviewing the map. I'm trying to figure out which way I want to expand. I ended up deciding to go lower. You see I've expanded with those 3. That gives me a total of 8 ports to be able to use. Those ports can be used as both inputs or outputs, but not simultaneously. So it can only be an input or only be an output. I come here and I'm deciding which one I want to integrate. I'm going to end up going with the antihistamine, being that I don't have to work with trying to get rid of the side effect. As you can see, you have to select the gate and then hit import in the top right corner of the ingredient. Now I'm going through and trying to figure out what I need. As you can see, with that ingredient, we are going to have to increase its concentration by 1 to get it to be an active ingredient. As you can see, I put down 2 of the pill presses. The reason for that is because the pill presses take 2 units of time to process, where everything else usually only takes 1. So if I put 2 of them together, they both process 1 and 1. That way there's no backing up within the system, and I can produce 1 per each unit, allowing me to create the most efficient profit possible. The only problem is that with 2 of those running on the same line, we do have to pay for 2 of them running, whereas normally we'd only have to pay for 1 if you went ahead and let the system back up. But if you let the system back up, like I said, you're not going to be able to create the same amount of profit as you'd hope for. Here we're looking through. As you can see, I selected the section right after. You can see that the antihistamine is now active. So once it goes through the pill press, it should be able to give us a product. Here I select this. This gives us our values. You can see the antihistamine is active. The side effect is not active. And of course, with the auto name, it gave it Globe Allergy Punisher. The combined value of the pill is 156, material cost is 38, processing cost is 30, which gives us a final profit of $88 per pill, or pretty much just going to be per unit. Pause the system because I'm going back here and I'm going to decide a lot about how many of these I should set up. Here I have the wrong thing selected, so of course I'm just looking through the wrong information for the moment. But simply put, the left side is the price that it will be, and the bottom is about what month that price should take place. As you can see in the line, it does fluctuate. So you do have to worry about some of your ingredients that you're ordering going up or down in price, and whether or not you should integrate those when. As you can see, there's a net demand, which pretty much says that how much of it is needed. Saturation is how much of it is being taken, and both of which sort of work with each other, as well as it affects the price. Here we are producing 1 per day. We have another 4.2 we can produce per day, so we are only producing 19% of our demand, which isn't bad. But as I said, the more we purchase, the more it'll affect a lot of things, which could increase our price, which you will see later in the video. Here is our research tab. I'm going to hire a couple of researchers because we need a few things unlocked. First is the fact that we need that national headquarters, because we need that desert expeditions. The reason for that is a lot of our ingredients that we're going to need to complete our objectives are in the desert. So without desert expeditions, we will not be able to complete the objectives at all. Coming up here, I went ahead and hired 2 more to go ahead and add to our agglometer and ionizer. Those 2 things are very crucial pieces of machinery, as instead of our evaporator and dissolver going up or down by 1, the ionizer and agglometer will move it up or down by 3. One moment, please. So I came back to the ingredients because I want to go ahead and look over this one here. The main thing about that one was that I need to be able to remove the side effect, which means I have to get a lot of things figured out with that one. But while I don't have that access yet, I'm going to go ahead and set up 2 more systems to create the same medicine that I was creating in the top left. As you can see, I'm going ahead and setting up similar setups because I sort of like the similarity of different machines working to do the same thing, looking the same. Now, of course, this doesn't always happen because you only have so much room and you have to set up certain machines to work. But as you can see, I have 3 setups. They all look very similar and they're all going to produce the same thing. Next thing I have to do is I have to tell each of those output ports that they are going to be taking the ingredient that I desire. Right now I'm looking over the area to try and figure out when I will implement the next ingredient. I apologize for the jump there. During this recording there was thunderstorms and I decided to wait while the thunder rolled so that it wouldn't interfere with the audio. But as I said, we will have to integrate in the ingredient that I want for each of those 2. Once again, I decided to pause here for a second to overview a lot of the ingredients. It was just because I just want to make sure that I'm getting the right ingredients in at the right amount and at the right times. Because with this objective, the quicker we can do it, the better. I always aim for the mastery objective, and then whatever objectives fail, I go ahead and move up to the next one. Which, you know, personally does take a little bit of effort because you are putting everything you can in immediately. But it's usually good because you can usually end up with at least expert, if not your mastery. Here I'm going through and actually looking through the side effects, and as you can see I'm jumping back and forth. The one on the left does not have a removable one, but this one does, and there's certain things you have to meet to be able to remove it. This one you need the concentration between 3 and 4, and then you have to send it through the dissolver machine. And that's going to be easy. I just have to bring down the concentration by 1, before I send it through the dissolver, and then I have to bring the concentration back up 3 so that I activate the ingredient that will help with the current symptom. As you can see, I just set down the 2 there, but I don't have the accelerometer yet. That is being researched currently, but the research shows 0% so far because since I had done the research, I hadn't actually pushed play yet. So we are still going to have to wait on that before I can actually do that second ingredient, but it will happen shortly, I promise. Whenever I did look over those, I did forget to actually open up these and import the ingredient. So I'm going through now and actually importing, and I should start playing here shortly. You can see that they're all 3 going to start producing the medicine for the current symptom. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to pause because I'm going to wait for that research in the ingredients to actually finish, and then we can start moving on to the next things. I went ahead and jumped over to the company overview. This is showing how many I'm selling versus how many I'm producing, as well as how much we have in stock, the current price of the medicine, our sales bonus, our cure rating, and our sales rating. A lot of this will be explained while I play through the game, but pretty much what I was doing here is making sure that what I'm producing is being sold each day, and that I'm not carrying too much extra backstock other than what's being produced and sold immediately. As I said though, we still need to wait on that research, which is only 27% of the way completed. So without that research, we can't move on too much. We can only wait to sell our antihistamine treatments and gain a little bit of our money back. We started out with 100,000 and we're already down to 70,000. As you can see, we've already started with those objectives. That pink one has already gotten a good little chunk technically taken out of it. So here I'm going to go ahead and pause and wait for a lot of the research to complete.
Research complete.
As you can see, we did have one of the things of the research complete, but I'm going to wait a little bit longer before we actually do too much with it, because all we did was open up the ability to do these other 4: desert expeditions, sales, planning, and construction techniques. Those 2 over here are mostly for building. We're not going to be doing too much of that, like I said. This is a really simple objective. We just have to get a whole bunch of things sold, and being that everything comes in progressively, there shouldn't be too much that I have to build to be able to get all of that sold. I'll be able to destroy things and replace them. So I put 2 of our researchers onto desert expeditions. As I said earlier, we are going to need that to be able to complete the objectives. So getting that done as soon as we can will be top priority. We're only 75% of the way complete with our other things. I accidentally deleted that belt. I meant to actually just check the medicine that was on it. As you can see, we've went down $4 and our raw material cost has actually gone up. Whenever we come here, you can see that our sales demand has only reached 50% for that antihistamine, which means we haven't even fulfilled the full amount that's actually needed. But whenever we come back to our ingredients, you can see our net demand and saturation have increased. The saturation is how much I'm purchasing. The net demand is how much is, needed. And as you can see, I'm purchasing 3, but as we wait for just one moment, you might be able to see it jump up. As you can see, it did jump up, and you can see that the other company's name is there. They have not released another product yet, but that means they are starting to work on it, which means that's actually going to increase in price even more. The research has been completed for my accelerometer and ionizer, so that'll allow me to actually go and start producing the second one. And there is the new product that the competitor has released. It is also an antihistamine, as mine is. So that means those are going to actually start increasing in price even more that I have to pay, which means I will not be getting as much of a profit from them. But of course we are getting close to it. We've had 3 running for a good while now. I put my 2 researchers that I completed onto the advanced science because I will be needing the analyzer, mixer, and shaker to help with maybe getting a lot more of this completed more quickly. Here I'm overviewing what I need. As you can see, the prerequisites is 3 to 4 for concentration and then activate with a dissolver. I already have that stuff set up there to the left, but to bring it back up I will need to bring it up by 3, which the accelerometer does. So it'll be the perfect thing to be able to set up next to it. As you can see, each thing has its own sort of shape, and you need to make sure that your inputs are accessible, your outputs are accessible. And this does cause a little bit of an issue because you have to make sure that everything fits into a space and make sure that your inputs can reach the other output with other belts also coming near. For now, this video will not show that sort of problem, but it does become apparent whenever you have to start making a lot more sophisticated things with the mixer and shaker and all those things. It can become very difficult to be able to keep track and keep everything in line where it should be. As you can see, I'm clicking over on both of those ingredient belts to show that we have removed the side effect, and then whenever we click on this next belt, you can see that the active ingredient has activated. My apologies. You can see that the cure has activated. So that means those will start being able to produce as they need. I just have to wait a moment more.
A competitor has released a new product.
Competitor created another product, but I also have. As you can see, I was looking over at stock and I'm putting a stock limit in now. The reason for the stock limit is so that I'm not producing so much extra. If I'm producing a lot extra, not only will that increase the prices because there's so many being purchased that don't need to be, but I'm also not selling them, which means I'm losing money. So I'm going to go ahead and put the stock limit. That way we don't have too much of a problem with losing money. As with selling only the non-prescriptions, we're not going to get a lot of income. You can see the competitor did have a side effect with theirs, and side effects aren't going to be the worst, but they do decrease your sales rating. Here you can see I have a D sales rating, but that's also because my medicine is not very effective. It only cured just over 100 cures, and I've sold over 400, almost 500. So you can see it's not very effective, but it is getting our objectives completed as it should be. Here I went ahead and hired some explorers to go ahead and explore for new ingredients, as I'm coming across the fact that I will not have 2 ingredients running at the same time until both of those are completed. As you can see over in the objectives, I have completed the antihistamine, but I'm just pulling a couple extra. I have 1 research point that I can spend. I'm going to put that on the evaporator, being that that's the one thing that I've been using the most of currently. In the end, that was sort of the wrong thing to do. I should have put it somewhere else. I will be putting my other points into the pill press because that is the thing that I use the most, as every one of my lines uses the pill press. As you can see, I'm going through and I'm just overviewing everything, making sure everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and deactivate that line and this line here because I have reached the supply of 500 antihistamine treatments. The reason I don't turn off the 3rd line is because I will need income so that we don't go negative. Though turning off 2 of the ones that have been giving me a total of $160 income, and I was just barely at 200, we will probably hit a negative income whenever both of those have completed selling everything that they have. Our sales demand for this soothes cough, I completing 17% while the competitors only competing with 7% or 9%, I forgot. As you can see, I have my scientist back, so I put one onto the analyzer, which will become an important part later in the game, and I put one on the mixer, which will allow me to be able to sell 2 products at once, technically. Now that both of these are completed, I'm going to go ahead and tear them down, but I'm not going to delete the machines. I'm going to put those off to the side just so that if I need them again for the next ones, I can use them. The pill presses I will need anyway, so those ones setting to the side is going to be my best option. Those evaporators, while they are good machines, I may not need them for the next one, so I may end up selling those ones back. You heard the invalid position, that's just because I had an end-to-end fitment. I really don't like that they don't allow the end-to-end fitment. It would save so much space, but of course, being that it doesn't allow it, it sort of adds more of a challenge to the puzzle that you have to be able to complete. As you can see, I'm only 50 to 55% of the way through with those new ingredients, and I'm only at a +9, and I just went negative. This means I'm going to be losing a good chunk of money. I'm not too worried about it, as I'm not losing a lot, and once those other ingredients come in, I'll be able to start with those ones again. We're still above what would be the standard starting amount of 50,000. Remember, I did take in that one perk that adds another 50,000 for me. Research completed on the analyzer. I'm going to put that onto the shaker. While the analyzer would be good to use right now, being that I am in the negative numbers, I don't want to use the analyzer because it only takes more money. I'll be purchasing ingredients and then destroying them in the analyzer to figure them out. While, like I said, that would be good to be able to find out where the best concentration for a lot of these ingredients are, it would not be the proper thing to do right now. Here I'm just waiting for a moment while other research and stuff sort of finishes up, so if I have to, I will cut, but I will be silent for this moment.
New ingredient discovered.
I jumped over into the research for a moment, but here's where I need the ingredients. I got one new ingredient, planning out where to put it. When I jump back, you can see that I just finished the other ingredient as well. Both of these look like good ones. This soothe cold symptoms will be easily accessible. I can even remove the side effect if I wanted to. This one, though, side effect does cover it. It's a removable side effect, but if we look closely on that one, it was prevents gout. That is not one of the over-the-counter or non-prescription medications, so I will not be doing that one just because it doesn't fit with what I need. I end up selling both of those because I realized whenever I looked over this originally, I wouldn't need them. I do end up making a slight mistake with this though. Whenever I import this, instead of going down in concentration like I'm supposed to, I end up selecting the machines that end up increasing the concentration. This is not very good because it ends up causing my ingredients to only, or my apologies, it ends up causing my medications to only have side effects, and it does not have an actual cure in it, which means that we will only be losing money. And it's even worse because it's not a sugar pill, as it would be called, where nothing is activated. This is only activating the side effects, which means that it's only causing a bad sales rating, which reflects poorly on the company and the game. There I set up the first one. I'm also going to set up the second one. And the good thing is that when I set up the second one, I didn't put in the ingredient that we're supposed to be producing using this system. So the good thing is I didn't start this second belt whenever I finished producing it. I only started that first one. As you can see here, both the lines look a little different, but they're both going to accomplish the same thing. as you just saw, we did also finish one of the researches, which is the mixer. Our shaker is also almost completed. With these two, while a lot of those other things would be good, they're not useful right now. So I'm going to take those. I'm going to send a couple to sales. I accidentally I meant to fire one, so I'm not spending as much money. Here it says that insomnia has increased and that medications with those will be in increased demand, but these are not the non-prescription medications, so they won't affect me, so I'm not really going to pay too much attention to it. As you can see here, we are almost halfway with the other treatment, soothe coughs. And then I looked through there and I realized that I'm not selling a third one. And I checked the pill here and I realized I've only activated the side effect. And I looked through there and I realized that I've only increased. So I pause it to create as much time as I can so I'm not losing all this money. So I'm going to go ahead, take and reset these both machines so that I am producing the correct pill. So I use the ionizer and I'm going to put in the dissolver so that we can get it to the concentration that's right on the edge. I probably could have done better with doing both of them as ionizers. It would have gotten the prescription to be about midway in there, and that would be the best bet because it would get it closer to the proper concentration. I ended up saving that block that was at the entrance because I realized that I could use it to be able to make the system look proper or prettier. Do the same things, and then I finally actually activate the belt on this one as well. So we're coming to the end of the video. I just want to say thank you to everyone who actually watches. If you like the video, please hit the like button. Subscribing to my YouTube channel. I will be producing one video every day. I will be focusing on these episodes of Big Pharma, and the reason for that is just because it's going to be the starter series to this YouTube channel. Later I will allow you guys to sort of start choosing what games I play, you know, all that fun stuff. My first 10 subscribers for now, I will take and write down their YouTube names, and they will be posted at the very end of my videos for every video. The reason for that is because the first 10 are going to be the first supporters of this channel, and they're going to be pretty much the ones that actually lift this channel off of being nothing. So it will be very much appreciated. And being this is the first video, it did have a little bit about me, but it was supposed to be mostly a playthrough video. I will be putting up a second video where we can go ahead and talk a little bit more about myself. You can get to know me a little bit more, sort of listen to sort of what my background is, and yeah. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Good night.